Hello again, math magicians. I'm going to help you out a little bit with that British method, and I'm going to talk about this little X trick that I mentioned in the previous video. So let's title this Note Lesson 7.8 Part 2. So I'm going back to Lesson 7.8, and we're going to be factoring trinomials. Factoring trinomials with a leading coefficient other than 1. So it's not going to be 1. It's not going to lead with a 1 this time, all right? So again, they're trinomials, and the leading coefficient is other than 1, meaning it's not going to be 1. It's not going to be a 1 out front anymore. So this is when we use the British method. All right, so that's the way I'm teaching it. Your parents might know a different way, but this is the method I'm going with. All right, so when there's not a 1 out front, I'm going to use the British method. So let's just kind of go over that, and I'm also going to add in this little X trick. It might help. All right, so here we go. Example. Let's go at 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Okay, this is a trinomial. It's in the correct order, and the leading coefficient is not 1. It is not 1. So I'm going to use the British method. I'm going to add in this little X trick. It might help. All right, so in the top, I still need A times C, and down here, I need to make sure it adds up to B. All right, so A times C. Now, A is 2, C is negative 3. You have to take the sign in front of it. So A times C is negative 6, and positive 5 is B. All right, so we need all the factors of 6, negative 6, and they have to add up to 5. So what multiplies to give you 6? 1 and 6 or 2 and 3? Now, let's see here. We need it to multiply to negative 6. Oh, let's go with negative 1 and positive 6. Let's see, a negative times a positive is a negative. And when you add negative 1 with positive 6, you get 5. All right, so these are good. Now we can't just go right to the answer, all right, like we did in the previous video, because this is not a 1. So we still have to use that for blank trick. So I'm just kind of reminding you of the British method, and I'm showing you this little X trick that might simplify it for you. All right, so 2x squared goes in the front, negative 3 goes in the back, negative 1x, positive 5x. Nope, sorry, positive 6x, right? Because that's what we have here. All right, between these first two, look for a GCF. The GCF is going to be x. Factor out an x. You'll be left with 2x minus 1. In the second two, there's a GCF of 3 or maybe negative 3. I think I'm going to try negative 3. No, I think I'm going to try 3. 3. And that will leave me 3 times 2x and then minus 1. Okay, these match. So the matching quantity goes next. And what's left is x plus 3. All right, so when there's a leading coefficient other than 1, that's not a 1, we have to use the British method, which is the 4 blanks, but adding in this little x might help you a little bit. Let's try one more. Okay, so here's a second example. We'll go with 8x squared minus 10x minus 12. Now remember, we're always supposed to look for a GCF first, always. Sometimes you forget, I think, and it's I'm just reminding you to look for GCF first. So in this trinomial, there's a GCF of 2. So you'll factor that out first. Actually, yeah, 2. Okay, now that 2 is going to we're going to kind of ignore it for now. We're going to focus in on this trinomial. Okay, it's a trinomial and the leading coefficient is not 1. It's not a 1, so we're going to have to go through the entire British method. I'm going to try this little x thing. I need a times c, and I need b down here. All right, a times c, 4 times negative 6. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. And b is negative 5. Negative 5. All right, so what multiplies to give you 24? That might, sorry, negative 24. That might add up to negative 5. So you're 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8. Okay, a 3 and an 8 might work. Let's go with a 3 and a negative 8. 3 times negative 8, positive times a negative is a negative. And when you add 3 with negative 8, you get negative 5 because we want it to add up to the b, right? We want it to add up to the b. All right, there they are. Now, because there's a leading coefficient other than 1, we can't just use these right away in our final answer. We have to go with the 4 blanks. All right, so 4x squared goes first, negative 6, 3x, negative 8x. In the first pair, look for a GCF. GCF is going to be x. You're left with 4x plus 3. And the second pair, your GCF is going to be, I think, negative 2. I think I want it to be negative 2 because a negative times a positive, right? A negative times a positive is a negative. And then same thing here. A negative times a positive is a negative. All right, we have matching quantities. So we write the matching quantity. We bring down what's left. And don't forget this GCF that you found at the very, very, very beginning. And that's part of it too. All right, maybe that refresher will help you with the British method. And maybe you'll like using this X system to find the factors. All right, good luck.